when it doesn't work one way, it's got to work a different way, right? So let me just finish setting up. Got this part on. Got you on my phone, and I'm going to just see if there's any comments in the actual, oh, here we go. There we go. And kitty cat in arms. Mwahaha. Oops. Still typing stuff there. Didn't mean to. Okay. Cool. How does it get even better than that? Yay. All right. Welcome, everybody. We are almost at the end of our beautiful book. It is not a very long book, so it actually could be read in one sitting just easily. Anytime I double dog dare you or double cat dare you to play with that and enjoy it. It is a fantastic book. My version looks like this. This is the old way that it looked. This is for anyone who happens to catch this video and hasn't seen any of the other ones, but the way you typically get it nowadays, whether on Amazon or on the Access website, etc., looks like this. This is one in Spanish. This is my English version, but my English version obviously has been with me longer and has been quite beloved. It is not a very long book. The English version, I think, is like 88 pages, so really not that long. But it's full of amazing depth and possibilities, and it gets you to look at where it is that you're functioning with everything that you're functioning now, and looking at how are things showing up in your world based on how it is that you're functioning. And if it doesn't work for you, then what can you be and do that's going to change it? What can you be and do different that's going to change whatever is going on? So today, I'm going to skip the question part because usually I respond to them on my phone. But you can do that watching any of the other videos, or actually, what a concept, grabbing a copy of your book and actually writing things down, preferably in a separate notebook or in a page that you put into your notebook or something, just so that you can begin to see the changes in how you're responding. Because more than anything else, hi Solangel, hi Rita, thank you for being here. So what the greatest thing is with this book is that it begins to shine a light on how you function in the world. And when it shines a light, it gives you choice. You no longer have to keep stumbling over that point of view. You no longer have to trip in the dark. Now light's turning on, and you can actually choose what's going to work for you. So we have read the majority of the book already. Drum roll! Can you believe it? How does it get even better than that? And we are on chapter 11, so grab a copy of your book or just grab your cup of coffee, or in my case, it isn't coffee today, it is juice. How does it get even better? Let's have a little sip to defer the throat from this one and head off to chapter 11. What are your 3 worst problems with money? So remember, this is also a conversation between Raz, Gary Douglas is channeling, and the students that happen to be in this class in 1996 in New York City. Okay, so Raz, now, what is the next question? Student, what are your 3 worst problems with money? Raz, oh, this is a good one. Who wishes to volunteer for that one? Student, well, I will. Raz, all right, over here, yes. Student, I am very fearful of not having any money. Raz, yes. Well, we have talked about fear. I believe it was in chapter 2. Okay, so do we need to cover that more? Is everybody pretty clear about that now? Okay, next. Student, well, I want to buy lots of things. Student, yeah, I want to buy lots of things. Raz, interesting point of view. Well, one, there's the word want, but also buying lots of things. What do you get by buying lots of things? Laughter. Lots to do, lots to take care of. You fill your life up with things. How light do you feel? Student, burdened. And then I find myself giving them away to neighbors, birthdays, etc. Raz, yes. So what is the value of buying lots of things? Student, it's in my blood. Raz, so how come that is one of your considerations? Student, because it bothers me. It bothers you that you buy? Asks Raz. Student, yes. Raz, good. So how do you overcome the desire to buy? By being power, by being awareness, by being control, and by being creativity. And as you come to the place in which you feel you need to buy, the reason you are buying is because you assume you have not enough energy. So you're filling yourself up, like that conversation about needlessness that we spoke about yesterday. Yesterday or day before yesterday, I can't quite remember. But one of the last couple of videos where we spoke about need. And when you're speaking about need like that, that's where you're looking to get filled from the outside. Being you as you are is not enough. And there is this great not enoughness in your world. And when there's this not enoughness, you keep looking for anywhere and everywhere to fulfill you so that you can feel good in your own skin rather than just choosing it, as he's saying. So how do you overcome the desire to fulfill yourself from the outside, or the desire to buy? By being power, by being awareness, by being control, and by being creativity. And he goes into this in more depth in chapter 1 and in chapter 2. So if you haven't seen those videos, you might want to hop on and watch those. And as you come to the place in which you feel you need to buy, the reason you're buying is because you assume you have not enough energy. There's this fear of missing out in your world. Bring energy into you. If you wish to break the buying habit, then give money to the homeless person on the street, or send it to charity, or give it to a friend. Because what you have done is that you have decided that you have too much money coming in. And so you must make sure that you equalize the flow from your point of view. Do you see how you're doing that? So this is really funny. There's a sense of deservedness. Do we deserve to have all that much? Do we deserve to have ease? Or are we supposed to be struggling? Or are we supposed to, hi Margarita, not have enough? Is that what's considered real and true in this reality? So as soon as, there's that proverbial glass ceiling that I think they call it a flea circus, like in the glass box that the fleas get trained to jump up only to, hit that glass. And then if you take the top off, they still won't jump beyond it, the majority of them anyway. They'll stay stuck like that because they've already determined that, no, this is as much as they could have. Anything beyond that is too much. And they have to create a trauma or drama, or create a problem, or give it away, or spend it, or whatever else, but not actually have it, not actually enjoy it, not actually just have fun with it as it is. No, can't have that. That would be too much. Ever had anything like that? So everything that brings up, will you let it go, please? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pot, pock, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So this is, that's really, really cool. It's looking to, there's a lot of different elements in here, but this idea of having to be fulfilled from outside and thinking that, if you just get this stuff, if you just have what the neighbor has, then you'd be received, then you'd be accepted, then you'd be okay. Or if you do things the way the rest of the people in this reality do, that struggle, that, complain about their help that works with them. How many people do we know who complain about whoever works with them, for them, etc.? So rather than having gratitude and appreciation for everything and recognizing yourself as the power, as the creativity, as the control, as the awareness, as the joy, as the invitation, as the infinite being that you truly be, you minimize yourself with all of those points of view. So in this case, this buying everything is real, he's saying, If it's too much, then rather than buying the stuff and then having to be owned by all that stuff that you buy, because you're the one who's got to dust it, you're the one who's got to clean it, you're the one who's got to deal with it, you're the one who's got to maintain it, you're the one who, if it's a car, has to put gas in it or take it to the shop, etc. All of this stuff owns you. So when he asks, lots of stuff to take care of, you fill up your life with lots of things. How light do you feel when you carry all that stuff? When you're being owned by all that stuff, how light is it? I wonder. So he's suggesting, just give it away if you think that it's too much, or enjoy having it is another possibility. But here, and so you always make sure that you must equalize the flow from your point of view. You have decided that you have too much coming in, and your point of view creates your reality. So there will always have to be some way that you make sure to equalize the flow from your point of view. You see how you're doing that, student? Yes, I actually do have too much inflow. How many of you guys would say that you have too much inflow? Raz, yes, so can there be too much inflow as opposed to outflow? No, it's a created and invented, in other words, reality. And what you are existing there and what you are assuming is that you are not spiritual. So if you have a lot, suddenly that makes you worse. Interesting point of view. And you're not connected to your God force if you have too much money. It does not matter in truth. What does matter is the choices that you make about how you create your life. If you create as energy, if you create as power, if you create as awareness, and you create as control, you will have joy in your life, which is what you're trying to achieve in the first place. Ease and joy and glory. This is what you desire. This is what you're after, and this is where you're going. And this is what you will achieve if you follow the directions we have given you this night. All right? Now, have we covered all the questions? So just going right back to that, ease and joy and glory. Remember the mantra of access consciousness? This is what you desire. And whether you're repeating, I be money, I be control, I be creativity, I be awareness, I be joy, I be money, I be awareness, I be control, which is what we did in chapter 1 and chapter 2, or you repeat, all of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory. All of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory. All of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory. All of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory. This is the same expansive energy that you are opening yourself up to. So you are changing your vibe. And if you sing it, it's even more so. So all of life comes to us with ease and joy and glory. Just saying. Student, well, just the same thing. If I have the money and I feel like, well, somebody else doesn't have this, so I should give it to them. And also, so then I don't have as much, or I worry about it, about not having as much, I suppose. Raz, so what if you give them energy? Student, give them energy instead of giving money? Raz, yes, it is the same. Student, so when the guy is begging in the subway, you just, Raz, well, you have just. Student, will they ask for $1 and you just, Raz, have you not breathed in energy here tonight? Student, yes. Raz, have you not eaten your fill of energy? What is the purpose of eating? To get energy. What is the purpose of money? To have energy. What is the purpose of breathing? To have energy. There's no difference at all. Student, but it sure seems different. Raz, only because you decide and create it as different. The assumption, all that underlying points of view where you make an ass out of you and me, the assumption is that it is different. So this is really interesting. How many stories, how much significance do we put about money? Or do we put about how things have to show up in our lives? Or do we put about what we have or don't have? Or what we can give or gift or not? all those are just points of view that create all of that separation, that create all of that significance, that create all of that limitation. It's not reality. It is created, as he says. It isn't real. It's an invention. So only because you decide and create it different, the assumption is that there is a difference. Student, well, yeah, that's right. Raz, and when you assume that, you start creating from that position, which creates a lack of money and a lack of energy. So when you assume that, when you have an underlying assumption, when you have a point of view, you can only create from that point of view, or from that position, from that limitation. And that which you create is a lack of money and a lack of energy. Student, but it just doesn't seem quite right to me, because it seems that a part of what I'm assuming is that I'm a human being and that, Raz, well, that's a bad assumption right there. Student, well, I'm living in a human society with such creations as bread, water, time, government. Raz, so you are creating yourself as a body. Only a body, in other words. Student, I'm creating myself as student XYZ in 1996, New York City. Yes. But truth is that the only thing that person has been? Or has that person been other energies, other possibilities, other lifetimes, other experiences? If we're infinite beings, are we just limited to the here and now? Or have we been and done pretty much everything, which is where a lot of our points of view have come from in the past? So student says, I'm creating myself as a student in 1996 in New York City. Yes. Raz, you are creating yourself as a body, as one lifetime, one experience, one name, one being. You're limiting actually who you be to this one expression in this particular cycle, you could say. But is that all you are? Or have you been here before? Have you experienced before? Have you had other possibilities? I've recognized that about myself a lot. If you start asking yourself questions about you, about what you know, where is it that you know it from? Where could you pull a lot of that information in? You can see that you are a lot more than all the definitions that you have of yourself, as Raz calls it, a body right here and right now. So is that where you truly wish to be? And are you happy there? Student, well, Raz, no. Student, when I was out of my body, there were other places that seemed much worse. So this seemed like a good stopping point to see how I could solve that problem. Meanwhile, it was pretty bad news. Raz, right. But you are creating the realities in whichever place you are by your own point of view. I remember when I was a kid, my brother would get transferred from school to school, because at that time they didn't realize that there were X-Men kids that had lots of capacities. They would see someone who was a little different, who at that time they considered ADD. I don't think they even had a label for ADD at that time, but they considered anyone who was following their own knowing and doing their own thing and aware of so much more than, just following the rules and regulations. If you didn't follow the rules and regulations of this reality, you'd get kicked out. So he got in trouble with a lot of teachers, and they would move him. My parents would move him from school to school, and he would have trouble from school to school because the teachers had no clue how to deal with a child who was so much more than anything that they were aware of or could quote unquote handle, constrain, whip into shape and have them sitting all lined up in rows, etc. My brother was not a sit down in rows kind of a person. And it was really interesting because if he had been acknowledged for the gift that he had, if someone would have asked him, what is it that you're perceiving, they would change what was going on with him so he wouldn't have to change from place to place to try to look for where to fit in. He would recognize that he is different and actually have more ease with the points of views that he had or perceived from everyone else, would have a little more ease with being him wherever he is, rather than having to look for a different location or a different place. And this is the same kind of thing. It's like, oh no, I don't really feel like being on the planet at this time. No, this is terrible. How did I get here? No, let me just skip this lifetime and go to the next one. No, change your point of view, change the way you look at things, and everything around you begins to change. And this is where Raz is saying, you are the one creating the realities in whichever place you are by your own point of view. So everything begins with you. Be you, change the world. It comes from you changing. Your change is what ripples out and changes everything else around you. Student, but it doesn't seem that way to me. It seems that others create with me or for me or on top of me. I don't think I could totally say that. I don't think so. Maybe, but I don't think so. Raz, you don't control what we say. Student, what you say, you and I are connected somehow. Raz, yes. Student, and everyone is, and the paradox is that you are you, and I don't wonder about this. You're a spiritual being. Speaking about Raz, that Gary was channeling at the time. Raz, and so are you. Student, and you are this person, another student, and you are this person, another student, and we're sharing some reality here together. We're in New York in 1996. We are not, but I'm with you somehow, and yet I don't think that I am you. Raz, that's right. That is what we've been talking about. You don't think, because every time you think, student, I have a problem. Raz, you have a problem. Student, you got it, Raz. So throw away your brain. It is a useless piece of debris. Student, and jump off the roof, Raz, and jump off the roof and start to float as the being that you are. You, when you throw away your brain and you stop the thought process, every thought has an electrical component to it, which creates your reality. And what do we know about electricity? Polarity. You have the positive and you have the negative. Go charge a battery in your car if your car dies. Again, positive, negative, a very polarific kind of reality. And you're stuck in always judging or concluding which is right, which is wrong, which is the way I've got to do this and which isn't, rather than letting go of the thought and beginning to be aware, actually perceiving. So every time you think, you go into a definition, which is a limitation of I am this, I am a body, okay, and this is huge. This is what you become. Everything you think about yourself, all those I ams that you typically define yourself as, I am a woman, or I am a man, or I am a mother, I am a daughter, I am an access consciousness facilitator. All of these things, or I am whatever culture. I'm Latina, therefore, or I am Jewish, therefore, or I am Texan, therefore, or I am a gringa, therefore. Hi, meow. Yes, I know. You want to hop up? You can hop up if you want. There you go. So a lot of that is the limitation that we're actually confining and constricting all of our experiences to. Because if that's how we define ourselves, that's literally like a little box that we put ourselves into. That's the only thing we can experience. Gary often says a definition by definition alone is a limitation. How many cultural definitions do we use to keep ourselves limited? How many physical definitions do we use? I'm such and such an age, or such and such a height, or such and such a sexuality. All of those things just limit us. We have a body. It's like our little cat's whiskers. It's giving us information about everything in the world around us. We are not only that. It's like our antenna. And limiting ourselves to only being a body, we miss out on everything that we be. We are actually spiritual beings, if you want to call it that. It's not so much my lingo, I'd call it an infinite being, but aware of everything, communing with everything, receiving from everything, if we're willing. And it may be uncomfortable, and it may be totally different than anything that we've ever been and done before. But if we're willing to recognize that ability, that capacity, that joy that we have in being connected to everything, then it isn't a world of scarcity, it isn't a world of lack, it isn't a world of fighting for things to survive. We recognize we're beyond it. And then we can begin to create what Dr. Dane calls a reality beyond reality. Something that's beyond what meets the eye, something that's beyond what meets the polarific thoughts of, positive and negative and judgments, and this is the right way to do it, and we live on this planet and this is the way it's done here. That's just a point of view, and it isn't necessarily what's true and real. So let's go back to this without my interruptions. Start to float, jump off the roof and start to float as the being you are. You, when you throw away your brain and you stop the thought process, every thought has an electrical component to it, which creates your reality. So every time you think, I am this, I am a body, that is exactly what you become. You are not student XYZ. You are an apparency of student XYZ at this time. But you have been millions of other lives and millions of other identities. And you still are being those right now. So I'm going to pause for a second and say time is spherical, not linear. And so it isn't like that was before, that was my previous life, and this is my future life. It's all mixed together. And one of the greatest gifts is being able to receive the gift of your talents and capacities from any lifetime that you've ever had, because they're all existing simultaneously, and you just get to pick and choose what works for you in those lifetimes and add that to your experience now. You are still being those other lives and other identities right now. Your consciousness, the greatest portion of it from your point of view, is right here and right now. But that also is not reality. When you disconnect from the thought that your reality is created in this moment with your total consciousness, and you start to see where you've got other ideas, other points of view, and other people's attitudes, beliefs, decisions, and ideas, you will start to connect to those other dimensions that can give you greater reality upon this plane than anything you are trying to create right now from your thought process. And that is truly where you desire to go. Thinking gets in the way of living because it is not a creative process. It is a trap. Next question. So rather than thinking, what if we begin to follow our knowing? What if we begin to ask questions? What do I know here? What do I know about this? What else is possible here? And begin to follow that, because there is a huge gift in recognizing that there's more to us than meets the eye. And this kind of bubbles right back down to one of my favorite tools, which we call the crazy phrase in Access Consciousness, which is everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. So you may see yourself sitting in, your living room or your bedroom or somewhere where you are alone, enclosed, coronavirus time, right? But is that the only thing you are? What other capacities, what other talents, what other choices do you have that you've never had before? Just because you're willing to explore what else do I know here? What do I know about this? And tap into your knowing. As your knowing reaches out tremendously, it is connected to everything. You are not just you in this particular merry-go-round ride. You are, or carousel ride, or whatever you want to call it. You've been here before. You've done it before. You've made different choices. You've had different experiences. You've got lots of talents, lots of abilities. Which ones are you going to use? Which ones are you going to choose? And so any time that you create yourself as tiny, wimpy, limited, that's not the truth of you. So, sorry. Chapter 12. Which do you have more of, money or debts? Raz. Next question. Student. Well, which do you have more of, money or debts? Raz. Well, which do you have more of? Student. Debt. Another student. Debts. Another student. Debts. Raz. Debts, debts, debts. Interesting. Everybody has debts. Why is that? Why is that you have debts? Feel the word debt. Student, no, it's heavy. Student, yes. Feels like a ton of bricks, says Raz. So we give you a little hint how to lighten it up a bit, because it sits in such heaviness upon you that you buy the point of view that it is the most significant thing about you, is it not? Because it is heavy, because it is significant, because it is solid, you add to it. You add to it because you buy the idea that it is okay to go in debt. You buy the idea that one should be in debt, and you buy the idea that you can't have enough money anyway without doing it. But is that real? Student, Raz, interesting point of view. Is it real? Student, well, yeah, that's what I used to think. Raz, good. Well, do you think that anymore? Student, no. Raz, good. So, all right, how do you get rid of your bills and your debts? By paying off past expenditures. Can you make past expenditures into a solidity? Feel it. Feel the word. So say past expenditures and say debt. What do you perceive energetically when you say these words? Remember, every word has an energy. And you're going to create more expansion or more constriction and contraction in your life based on energy. Yours and the words that you're using to create your world and your life and everything else. So, there. When you say the word past expenditure, does it feel like debt? Student, no judgment on it. Raz, no judgment, exactly. And yet you judge yourself significantly on your debt, do you not? And when you judge yourself, who's the one kicking you? Student, myself. Raz, right. So why are you angry at yourself for creating debt? Well, you should be. You're a great and glorious creator of debt. You are a creator. You have created magnificent debt, have you not? Student, oh yes. Raz, a very magnificent debt. Oh boy, am I good at creating debt. All right, so see the glorious creator that you are as debt. Be the glorious creator that you are to pay off past expenditures. Now feel the lightness in past expenditures. That's how you create a shift in your consciousness. And lightness is the tool. As you are the light, as you are being light as money, you create a shift and a change in your consciousness and everyone around you. And you create a dynamic energy that starts to shift the totality of the area that you live in and the place and how you receive money and how it comes into you and how everything in life works. Hi, Miruna, and hi, Ju, and hi, Louisa. It's good to see you guys. Well, sort of see you guys, because I don't really get to see you guys on here, but it's really nice to see smiling, bright, shiny little profile pictures there. How does it get even better? So back to this. Recognize the gift in everything that you've chosen up to this moment. Don't frickin' judge yourself for anything, whatever it is that you've created. Whether it's been shit or it's been magnificent, you've created it. And to me, that was one of the greatest gifts that I've received from Access, is recognizing I'm not a victim of anything. I've chosen this, knowingly, or sometimes inadvertently, or sometimes just stupidly. Because stupidity is a lot of unawareness, not necessarily talking about my intellectual level, but definitely my unawareness level. And when I'm willing to look at everything that I've created in my life as a gift up to this moment, then I can begin to choose, how is this working for me? What else could I create? If I created so much magnificent, glorious, quote unquote, debt or past expenditures, right? Then what else could I create so magnificently? If I've created having this so much, how can I create paying off the past expenditures with total ease? So that's where he's speaking about lightness. If you recognize there's lightness in gratitude. So when you're grateful for recognizing that you've got these amazing creative capacities, then you're not a victim to any of them. Dang, how cool is that? So be the glorious creator that you are to pay off your past expenditures. Feel the lightness in past expenditures. That is how you create a shift in your consciousness. Lightness is the tool. As you are light, as you are being light as money, you create a shift and a change in your consciousness. And guess what? Be you and change the world. And in everybody around you. And you create a dynamic energy that starts to shift the totality of the area that you live in and the place and how you receive money and how it comes to you and how everything in your life works. You be that little, rock that gets tossed in the pond, and then everything gets rippling out from there. But know that you are a great and glorious creator, and that everything that you have created in the past is exactly what you said it was. And what you create in the future will be exactly as you create it to be by the choices that you make. All right, next question, which we're going to do tomorrow. But this is fantastic. Recognizing you are the great and glorious creator, and everything that you've ever created before, everything you've chosen before, knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or sometimes unconsciously and unawarely, but that is exactly what you're having now. If you're having it, somehow you've asked for it. And know that if you'd like something different, you can ask for something different too. And this is where it goes back to the book we read last week, A World of Choice, A World of Freedom. Your choice creates. So what else could you choose? What else could you ask for? What else could you have fun with so that you create the future exactly what you created to be by the choices that you make, as Raz puts it. And all of life can also come to you with ease and joy and glory. And all it takes is choosing it. So how does it get even better? Thank you. I'm off to my class, which begins in 3 minutes. And how does it get even better? And I will see you guys tomorrow at the top of the hour, whatever, 10 o'clock my time. It's almost 11 now. To complete the reading of this phenomenal book. Arrivederci. Thank you for being here. Bye.